the window slightly open to let some fresh air come in. And my wife stupidly, how could she possibly know, had placed the turkey, the Christmas turkey, on the windowsill. Well, that was it. When I got there, I noticed the turkey was missing. I looked out the window, and what did I see? A rat lugging the whole turkey off.
Jesus Christ! Oh, my turkey. What a rat that must have been.
That was a rat twice as big
as
it was a rat that big as a cat.
Oh my God.
If you don't think, you think I'm telling a lie?
No,
Ask my wife. She'll say that
is a
true story.
I can believe that, sure. Jesus.
So that's why it's rats, rats, rats. It comes from.
It had to be rats.
So it comes from personal experience. Then.
Yeah, that was a personal experience too. And we lived one on top of the other on Myrtle Avenue.
Yes,
you know where this Myrtle area is.
Right.
From Myrtle Avenue there, you go on to Bushwick Avenue. Bushwick Avenue was a nice place. Yeah. That's where his great writer came from. What's his name?
Only the Dead Know Brooklyn?
He compared me, he compared my...
Oh, Henry Miller. Henry Miller
came from Bushwick, certainly. Henry Miller loved Bushwick because it was one of the most beautiful places in Brooklyn, right? There are wonderful places in Brooklyn.
I never thought Bushwick was beautiful.
Bushwick Avenue was beautiful.
I never considered Bushwick beautiful.
There was the Bushwick, on Bushwick and DeKalb, you had also the public library. I used to go there to read books. And it was a lovely avenue.
Eastern Parkway, the Ocean Parkway, as beautiful areas of Brooklyn. The Prospect Park, that was beautiful. I never considered Bushwick or Myrtle, any of that.
Have you ever walked down Bushwick Avenue?
Sure.
Oh, it was a nice street. Brooklyn and Queens, were beautiful places for me. In fact, Queens, Germantown was really the place to live in because it was clean.
Queens was the country. Queens was the country. Forest Hills, Rego Park. We considered that the country.
Fact, behind my house there in Queens, because we lived just on the borderline between Brooklyn and Queens, there was a farm. We used to go and buy things from the farm.
Right. Sure, that was all farmland.
Then, as time passed, the farm became a whole series of houses.
Right.
That was the end of the farm.
That's what's
and I'll tell you one thing, the Brooklyn I know and the Queens I know was a better place to live in because there were farms still in Brooklyn and still in Queens. You understand that?
The farm owners on Long Island go back 3, 4, 5 centuries and they're disappearing because the land's become so valuable, it doesn't pay to farm it.
Well, the thing I think that will resolve the problems of the world that we know, which is getting worse and worse, these problems are getting worse and worse, is population control. The people, especially the lower middle classes and the lower classes, they've got to decide that if they want to live well, the populations have to go down. They have to.
Okay, here's my question. So you left the States because of just the way you had to live in New York.
Well, that's one of the excuses, let's face it. The fact is that if I wanted to live in New York, I had to work. And I had to work the way they wanted me to work. Instead, in Sicily, yes, I had to work too, but the point is this, that I could work the way I wanted to work. I could choose the way to teach people English. And this was what I loved. I loved to teach to start with. I loved to use my own method, which in general you might say is based on the pragmatic John Dewey method of school education and teaching.
Yeah, but here's my question. There are other places other than New York. I mean, if you wanted to stay in the States, you could have gone somewhere else, right? Did you ever think of this?
In fact, that was a possibility. That was one of the, in fact, if I had made a choice, I think I would have gone, let us say, to Connecticut to live. I loved the state of Connecticut, especially at Springfield, Massachusetts, where I used to go to stay in a house of an aunt of mine in the middle of a forest. In fact, I once got lost in this forest for 24 hours, believe it or not, in Stafford Springs, Connecticut.
Wow.
And that was my dream, to live in a forest, and to pick blueberries, and to walk under the trees, under the pine trees. This was my dream when I was a child.
So why didn't you follow that rather than leave for Sicily?
Well, those were my intentions. In other words, my future, I felt, was in a house somewhere in a forest. Being I never got around to that, and my wife waylaid me in marriage. She said, "This is my husband," and in 3 months we were married. She pointed at a photo that she had of me and said, "He's going to be my husband," and that in 3 months we were married. Well, I decided to live in Sicily, but I built my forest around the house. You notice pine trees around the house here?
Mm-hmm.
And, well, this is the best I could do. There are about 200 or 300 pine trees here. It takes me, to go down into the garden, I have to walk down the hill. I have to walk down 150 steps to get to my garden. What do I call a garden? It's really a citrus grove of giardino.
But you're leaving out that you went back here to study Italian, you know, how
I
you...
went to,
Yeah, you're leaving that out, and that...
can she put the telephone back on the hook?
Yeah.
Nina, si può mettere il telefono di nuovo a posto? Mi dispiace, ma così.
Nat,
Sì.
ti vieni a preparare qua il cocktail di frutta qua per le ragazze?
Che cosa devo comprare? Ma vengono, vero?
Noi ne facciamo, devi stare fermo.
Lampersona was her surname. An ugly looking mafioso fell in love with her and wanted her as his wife, but he was old. She was a young lady. And so she didn't want to marry him, and so her family advised her to go to America, and she left all by herself. Believe that or not, a young lady went off to America. In America, somehow or other, Severio Catalano met Lampersona, and they got married.
And your grandfather went because he was being threatened by the mafia?
Yeah. And so you have my grandfather and my grandmother going to America due to the mafia. On my father's side, instead, there were other reasons, but I think my grandfather and my grandmother, Scammacca, went off to America together. And so then my father and my mother were born in the United States, second generation, and they were brought up in the American school system. So they mostly spoke in English. In fact, my father became a lawyer, and he met my mother at a marriage. You know, in America you have these football weddings. You know what a football wedding is?
No.
A football wedding is a wedding where the waiters serving the tables of the people that come to eat, and they throw the sandwiches at you. And because of that, it's called a football wedding. Do you understand? Anyway, it's not a very elegant matrimony. But my father was playing the banjo. He was a barber at that time, a young man as a barber, and going to law school. And he was with the barbers all played and sang in the barber shops in those days. And so he, with a group of other barbers, sometimes organized a band, a musical band, so that they could make
barbershop quartet.
Yeah, a barbershop quartet. So, and they would play for these football weddings. and make a little bit more money. Understand that? And he met my mother because he saw her dancing and he noticed how beautiful her feet were. There was a small shoe, and then he went up and looked at her face. He said, "That's going to be my wife." And he fell in love with her right there and then on the dance floor. And he put his banjo down and asked her to dance with him. And that was it. People invited.
Too hot here.
Oh, sit over there.
Oh, good idea. So I guess a couple is not coming. I guess Salvatore couple is not coming.
You mean the children?
No.
Who?
The Salvatore Coppola.
Oh,
The
Coppola.
couple.
I don't know about
He
it.
was supposed to come today.
He might come yet.
Well,
Because nobody, I think the story is this, that being that people eat around 2 o'clock or late at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, then they've got to take a nap. This is
siesta time.
civilized living,
Yeah.
really civilized living. By the time they get up and they clean and whatnot, it's already 4 with an American head. Coppola's coming.
Was supposed to come.
I'm more interested in the girls. And then tomorrow I've got to go to I might read this Toby poem. What do you think?
You mean, what do you mean? Oh, at the school you have tomorrow.
Tomorrow I'm at school. They'll ask me questions. Maybe I'll read a poem or two. Maybe
Sure.
I'll read one of these love poems from
Then leave.
Glenn Lee instead of Topi, Topi, Topi. Who knows? I might read Topi, Topi and a love poem to give them a sample of one kind of poetry and another kind.
Read the fun ones from Scammacca A. I feel great today, I say to my love, nibbling at her ear. She says, good. When you go out, take the garbage
These
with you.
girls are romantic, Barkan. The future for them, romanticism still
Well,
important.
I say, even the rats must eat. Yeah. And even even the poet, something like that. So the sheet cat down the road no longer pays in that intention. Now, my wife says, is she going to write poetry too? I've been reading those 3 poems at hundreds of readings, you know.
Oh, I found it. I think I found it. No. Where did that one?
Up there. Okay.
Hey, Fragola,
Yes, sir.
you want to hear this?
Some.
Nat, why don't you just read those in English?
You say when.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Stanlay Barkan wanted me to read these poems here on page 70 and 71 of my book, Scammacca A. A rat seen from the kitchen window. And I said, we all must live, even the rat. And we all must die, even the rat, added my wife. A love poem at 60. I feel great today, my love. I say to my wife, nibbling at her ear from behind. Good, said she. When you go out, take the garbage with you. Our cat's in love. Meow, meow. goes the cat all day long. He wants out, but he's soon back in again. The she-cat down the hill pays no attention to him anymore. I know how you feel, I say. Now, says my wife, is he going to write poetry too?
I can read those poems better than you.
Okay, then you read this next one. Minchia, what a promontory. Is that the one?
No, not that one.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, why don't you go ahead, just stand up and read it. Be very good.
A rat seen from the kitchen window, and I said, we all must live, even the rat.
And we all must die, even the rat, added my wife.
A love poem at 60. I feel great today, my love, I say to my wife, nibbling at her ear from behind.
Good, says she. When you go out, take the garbage with you.
Our cat's in love. Meow, meow goes the cat. All day long he wants out, but is soon back in again. The she-cat down the hill pays no attention to him anymore. I know how you feel, I say.
Now, retorts my wife, is he going to write poetry too?
Read the story in English.
You want me to read the story?
Read the story, because it shows this is your poetry humor and this is your story humor.
All right.
Go ahead. Well, 1 sec, give me 10 seconds.
Shall I start reading it?
About just a few seconds here. Okay, you could start any time.
All right. Shall I start in?
Yes.
All right. Minchia, what a promontory. When the first dawn began and lighted up Mother Earth, Father Sky fell in love with her at first sight. This was natural, or I should say, supernatural. Her gentle round curves kindled an impelling desire in the sky god. Without any romantic preliminaries whatsoever, he covered the beautiful goddess and at once made love to her. The result of this ardent union was the birth of a god, Cronus. That same night, Cronus, having already grown into quite a husky lad, was called aside by his mother, the goddess, who whispered into his ear, so Father Sky could not hear. Here, figurzo meo, take my sickle and use it the very moment that bully of a father of yours wants to lay me again. I do not want to be used like a tramp in front of all the Ericini up there on the mountain who are patiently waiting for a scandal in their lookouts on the top of Mount Eryx. After all, you know, we are in Sicily, and I am a respectable woman. The next day, when for the second time the dawn light flooded the world and splendidly illuminated the beautiful curves of Mother Earth, Father Sky was inflamed again, and its huge extension protruded menacingly through the deep blue toward Mother Earth, otherwise called Demetra, she who had taught the Sicilians how to grow wheat before anybody else. Just then, Cronus, like the true mafioso he is, unseen, jumped out of hiding and struck the tremendous fatal blow which sheared off his pa's immensely huge male organ, and it went crashing into the sea at the foot of Mount Eryx, right there in the place the Western Greeks called Drepane, and which is now called Trapani. But the highfalutin Trapanese, all the way from Borgo and Possilatre at Hermes Hill, today called Sant'Anna, down to the sea, changed the true story all around, saying it was only Mother Earth's sickle that had crashed into the sea, lost while she was looking for her daughter Persephone, that gal from Henna, who had run off with a tricky southerner from Carthage. But the Ericini on Mount Eryx know exactly what happened. They are always ready to note and jot down what really takes place, for they are the first to hear all the gossip, and these facts can be read in Tommaso Pacello's History of Ancient Sicily, written during the Renaissance at Terme di Selinunte, Sciacca, and in Pugnatoris Historia di Trapani in 1590, edited by Sal Costanza, the Aristini used to scornfully call the Trapanese Grecaglia. Page 76. And when they get up in the morning and they look down at the Trapanese from Mount Eryx, they still say, "What minchione." Cut.
That's right, after the bomb, right.
I finished.
Was that in one of the stories? If it's in Sicano Americano, then I wouldn't know it. No.
So what's the story?
The story is that he cleaned out this septic tank, this shit house here, because he wanted to try it out as a bomb shelter, because Gaddafi might be throwing bombs.
Gaddafi had scared us.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. Do you know that Gaddafi's mother, I don't know if his mother was from that town near Sharka?
No.
Yeah. Nina era la madre di Gaddafi o la moglie di Gaddafi?
La madre.
Da Ribera.
Dicono la madre.
Yeah, the mother was from the little town of
Sharka.
Ribera, which is near
Oh,
Sharka. The mother was.
No.
Oh, he's some slightly Sicilian, I should think, under those circumstances, no?
Yeah.
You have Sicilian.
I wouldn't spread that around.
So he cleaned it out and
Yes, and he wanted Nina and her mother to go into it, to try it out. But they wouldn't, they absolutely refused. But my understanding is you went into it to show them that it was okay.
Hey, about, for a number of years there was a danger of an atom war. Didn't you didn't you have anything where you could
No.
flee to?
No,
Nothing at all?
no. But when they had the cruise missiles at Comiso, yeah, you were also concerned.
Uh-huh.
But my understanding is you went in there and you liked it in there. You said, it's cool, it's roomy. È vero, Nina?
Che cosa non ho seguito?
Nat, nella septic tank.
lui è entrato nel pozzo nero.
No, va.
No?
No, mai?
Lui entrava nel pozzo
Vai.
nero e diceva lei.
No.
I come clean.
Now what's there? There are a couple of dog houses on top of that
Okay.
thing, so that it's not even recognizable. Once it was nice and clean and there was a place to sit, and in fact the tree that's growing out of it has become extremely big because of nutrition.
I want to see the
Vuole vedere l'albero che è diventato molto grande.
Oh, what's some?
All broken down dog house. Look at the... This is the shithole. It was nice. At once it was very nice here. You could sit down and take it easy. But I don't know, my son... What did you call it again in English?
Septic tank.
Oh,
This is the tree that grew out of that?
this tree. Look
Oh
at the
my
size of
God,
it.
boy,
Look at
that
it.
looks like a strong
After
tree.
all, you only have about this much land here. The earth goes down this deep. Look at the size of that.
Wow. Tell me, is that a sign? What is that? He had a dog, he had a tree house? Up there, so look at the sign. Up there.
Oh, I don't know what
That,
that
that piece of wood. Was that
Perhaps
did
one
he
of
make
the
a tree
kids.
house once?
One of the
kids?
kids must have. Nadia must have done that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or is that, did he move the graffiti to there? Million stories in the Scammacca house.
Well,
Where did they do the painting, what you said, the graffiti? The kids, where did they paint that they had to clean off?
what pain?
The Nadia's friends.
Who?
Where did they graffiti the house?
Oh.
Nadia's friends.
I thought they were his son's nephew. Oh, yeah.
Not the
Grandsons.
My grandson Nadia.
Yeah, his friends. Remember you said there's graffiti
Oh,
in the house?
it's on down here. I'll show you where. And they, I said I'd arrest them all, and they took me seriously because they really cleaned it off.
Now this here is a caper bush, which I certainly have never seen before.
Thin, and it's not the children that's making the noise, it's the damn work of the workers down in the school itself.
So the one to the right is Marittimo?
You'll have to turn my way.
The one to the
You
right
want
is
me to hear
Levanzo.
Oh, Levanzo.
The one on the left is Favignana. The one on the right is Levanzo, and the tips on top of, you probably won't get it in your camera there, on top of Levanzo is Marittimo, way out there. It's much further out than you think. And the way it is described in the article. You can see the two towns, the one of Levanzo, and you can see the town of Favignana.
Where's the